Where have you been?
We're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to do this.
I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Nervous poos. My headphones gone.
Were you literally just texting me from the toilet?
I was texting you from the toilet. Let's not pretend like I don't FaceTime you from the toilet.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes. Well, that doesn't happen. I don't FaceTime you from the toilet. You FaceTime me and I accept it while being on the toilet.
I've seen the roof of your bathroom far too many times.
Yeah, it
All
is
right,
what
we're
it
good.
is.
Sorry.
What did you get up to this week, Karina?
What did I get up to? Oh, I went to the footy showdown. Great result. So pretty good night out. And then we went to see Ash Gale and his band, Motel Music, at the casino afterwards.
Love
that
those
was
guys.
good. Yes.
They're always a good time.
Great time.
And apparently I know nothing about footy,
yes,
right?
clearly.
But apparently it was a massive deal for Crows to be winning.
Huge. Well,
What's that about?
I literally went out and drank a couple of cocktails before just because I knew it was going to be bad for us.
But did they kick ass?
Won like 50 points.
Yeah.
Great. That was good. It was a good night out, good weekend. Yeah, it's going to be weird. It's one of my few last weekends free before work starts kicking off again. So we've got into like this routine of having weekends, which is it's nice, but it's strange. I'm actually starting to miss it because I'm excited to get back into it. But normally for us, it's, during the week we have the time when people would normally be at work and then we start on weekends. Obviously we work during the week, but yeah, it's been weird, like trying to find stuff to do on the weekends and not have to incorporate, Friday I can't do much because I got a wedding tomorrow, and then Sunday you got a wedding hangover. But yeah, so it was good. But how about you? What did you do?
What did I do? I went to a 50th. I went to my uncle's 50th on the weekend, which was super fun. It was an artist-themed shirt.
A what?
Artist-themed shirt. The theme of the party was to wear a band or an artist.
Oh, so you meant like artist.
Yeah, no, that came out real like I
did.
was speaking Spanish or something.
Yeah.
And I went wearing Oliver Tree, one of my favorite artists. Love him. And I know that it's crazy that we're doing this podcast because I am such an introvert. Like, I am heavy leaning on the introvert side. I was excited to go. I rock up. There's cars in the whole street. Uncle's 50th. He's obviously a little bit popular, and I get there and I got nervous and I walked in and people everywhere, and I just such introvert energy. No, it was good. It was good. It was a great time. I had to get a couple of drinks in me in order to feel confident there, but it was a good time. And I had a few people ask me about the podcast. As I was nervous as I walked in, I was like, let's not talk about this right now. Okay, next topic. But it was a good time. Had a good time. Drank a bit. Had fun. Didn't get home till 3 a.m.
Wow.
It was a wild time.
Yeah,
it was a wild time. My dad, he's such a character. He has no idea so this is what I wanted to tell you, and I didn't tell you because I wanted to tell you on the pod so I can get your reaction from it. So Dad watches it, right? He's drunk at the party. He puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, Brads.
Did he ask you if you're gay?
No, that's not where I was going at all. You're an asshole. Dad puts his hand on my shoulder and goes, are you gay? Yeah,
that's what I thought was coming.
So
okay,
Dad puts his hand on my shoulder. So Dad, he's one of those guys where he doesn't share much of his feelings until he has a few drinks, and then he tells you all of his feelings.
Isn't that all of us?
That's all of us. Yeah. Sorry, Dad, I'm putting you out there, but puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, Brads, I'm very proud of you.
Ooh.
The radio thing that you did the other day, fantastic.
That's cute.
It's a podcast, Dad. It's a little bit different. And then he goes, "Who's the girl that you're doing it with? Like, who is this? Who is this girl? You seem to really get along with her, like very well. You just get along very well."
Did you say, why are you hanging out with old ladies?
And I was like, no, just wait for it.
And
I was like, yeah, that's Karina. Like, I work with her quite a lot. I've known her for a few years. Like, we're great friends. Well, we get along. So we just thought we'd do a podcast together. We work in the same industry, blah, blah, blah. Just gave him that whole spiel. And he's like, but, I watched the whole thing and you guys really get along. Like, you guys are like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I wouldn't be doing a podcast with someone who I don't get along with. What are you on about?
Yeah.
And then he leads into, so, are you guys like...
Oh, no. Okay, this is an actual topic. Seriously, if I had $1 for every person that asked me that,
it's wild.
It makes me feel a bit sick, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I feel sick about the idea of it too. Don't worry. I joined the club. We hang out a lot.
We do, but
Yeah.
that's a genuinely good topic though, because why do people just assume if you have a friend that's a boy that you can't just be friends?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's where I think that's where my dad was going with it. He couldn't fathom the idea. So this conversation went on for a while, and he couldn't fathom the idea that we got along so well.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to date you.
Yeah, but that's probably why we get along so well.
Yeah, because I absolutely don't want to date you.
And as soon as you start dating
I see too much of you. Or I'm like, you know what? You can have someone else can have you.
I do not need any help in not getting dates. Fuck you.
I'm kidding. If anyone's interested out there, Karina Cook, find her on Instagram. She's great.
Karina Cook is not my name on Instagram. Thank you very much.
I don't even know what she is on Instagram,
wow.
but she's here. Look,
okay.
She's a good,
Yeah, if you could keep digging your fucking hole.
Hey, you set this up with my dad asking me if I'm gay. So don't even have this high horse thing that you're like, well.
Oh my God. No, but this is the thing. Like, people ask me all the time if I and look, I get it. It's this doesn't happen all the time with friendships, but I feel like people just assume you can't be friends with a boy and it not be more. Like,
yeah.
It blows my mind. It makes me kind of angry.
Definitely doesn't make me angry. I think it's funny. Like,
the fact that I'm nearly 40 and you're 26 is a bit of a compliment. I will take that. But I'd be more offended if I were you.
Dad clearly liked you. He was like, she's, and I go, Dad, I go, Dad, she's got 2 kids and she's 38. Like, that's not, I'm turning 27.
Wow.
And he goes, and I'm like, oh God, Dad, stop.
Wow. Okay.
Love you, Dad. Love you, Dad.
Track. Thanks, Dad.
Gave me a good story for the pod.
Wow. But
so
anyway,
it's a good time.
Yeah. Look, and we can make sure this is very clear right now. Ew.
All right. Moving on.
But if you are single, and this is the thing. I get why people say this and ask us this, but I guess it makes me angry because people just assume. And look, most of obviously I'm a bit older and a lot of my friends are married with kids and, have that kind of situation. They don't have a lot of spare time. I don't have a lot of spare time, but, we're both single. We work in the same industry. We work together.
Right.
We have time. We have similar interests. Well, do we have similar interests? That's a bit weird. But
not really. I thought about it the other day. I was trying to think of podcast topics because we I don't want to run out of things to talk about. And I was thinking, what kind of hobbies? I mean, the only hobby that we do we play tennis together.
Yeah,
and we work in the same industry. That's where we kind of connect. But we're both self-employed. We both live independently.
Yeah, yeah. But it's nice to just we can hang out and it's easy. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah, you're like a good mate of mine. But that's where like Dad, it was interesting. He couldn't comprehend that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I've got another friend. I'm friends with a girl named Sophie who I met in New Zealand a couple of years back, and we had a wild time in New Zealand. Just good mates. Like we got along. We got each other. Like and it's a great relationship. And she's got a partner, and it's not even a big deal. Like we go walk our dogs together, things like that at the beach. And it's not weird. But I think maybe sometimes people might think like, what's he doing?
Well, you do have a lot of all my best friends are females.
Right.
Like, you're my only male friend that I hang out with this much, obviously.
This isn't helping my stereotype. This is not helping my stereotype. I was speaking, this is not going to help my stereotype either. The next story, which I was going to talk about, is my hairdresser. I don't even go to a barber. I go to a hairdresser. He's great. And I was actually having a chat with him this morning about this exact topic where, I told him that story about my dad and that conversation. He thought it was hilarious. But he's been working in the hair industry his whole life, and he's surrounded by women constantly. And he said it's easier for him to talk to women than it is for guys. Like, yeah. It's not it's like,
well,
I
it's
don't
just
know.
different. I mean, look, again, we're very different. A lot of girls don't go to the footy every weekend.
Right.
But I'm also very feminine with a lot of things. But that side of things, I enjoy that. Like, that's probably the highlight of my week is going to the footy. I love it. I always have. But it's, everyone's just different. Who cares who you hang out with? Like, as long as they make your life better. Well, and even people probably think as well, like, for me, why are you hanging out with a 26-year-old boy? Like, it's, but the thing is as well, like, I'm hanging out with someone that I get along with. Who cares how old you are?
Right.
We work together. We get along. Like it's, I guess I played sport for a very long time where a lot of my friends are not my age. Like I've played with people who were in their 20s, who were in their 40s. Like you just, if that person is in your life and they make your life better, who cares how old they are or what sex they are?
Absolutely.
Like that's a big deal to me. So I guess that's why I probably get offended. Well, not offended, but like it happens so often. Like if I post a photo if I'm with you somewhere, like people just assume and it just pisses me off. Like
it's funny. It doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, we've been on this topic forever, but it doesn't piss me off. It's just fascinating. I find it fascinating. But I like that I can have. I mean, it sounds weird to even say it because I don't think it's not abnormal to me. I like that I can have relationships with girls and it's not predicated on
like
me
I don't
trying
have
to
any
hook up with them or
friends
whatever.
that would sit on the toilet and talk to me, and I would never have.
Well, we didn't need to cover this a second time.
No. But my point is that if I have a partner, that's no, ew, gross.
Yeah, okay.
No, never.
This makes me sound disgusting.
Yeah, look.
I did want to actually cover some kind of wedding related topic today. For those who are actually interested, I was trying to think about things that we could talk about wedding related, but then I was, I'm actually genuinely curious, like, because I have known you for a few years since I started doing weddings. I met you at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we became friends. I know nothing about, like, how did you get into wedding photography?
Yeah,
like,
how did you not know that?
I mean, were you married at that point, or was it after that? I know you owned a gym. How did you get started?
It was before I got married. So I worked with someone, a photographer.
You didn't have the boys yet, though.
No.
Okay.
But basically, my wedding photographer became a very close friend of mine, and huge respect for him. Love his work, and then I worked with him for a while. And then my love for it just grew. And then I started shooting with him, helping him out with some wedding albums and holding lights and all the stuff just to get experience.
That used to be whenever I hear about people that, I don't know, they're like in their 30s and above that do wedding filmmaking or they do wedding photography, they always start out with like a mentor, someone that... Yeah,
like I did all the shitty jobs for a long time. I held lights, I did that. But that's how I got experience and watched him and learned from him and... got inspired by him, but it was good to see. And every time I went to a wedding, I loved it. Like I just knew it was for me.
And the experience, like even to get that experience, like I remember like doing like other like commercial style work for some videographers, and you're learning something that you're like really passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember when I first bought a camera and I was just so excited. I'd take photos of grass. I didn't matter what it was.
I just took photos of flowers. I remember it was the first photo I ever took was of flowers,
not grass. Now I sound like I've got some problems.
I think we've covered that.
Not yet.
No, and I just took photos, and then anyway, I got married, and from then my love for it grew. But then, funnily enough, after that, I actually opened a gym. So we had
you got into photography.
Yeah.
Why did you then open a gym?
No, I wasn't into photography. I was just doing that.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Spare time.
Gotcha.
Just going to weddings and that sort of thing. But then I just kept practicing. Excuse me, with everything. But then, I decided to we opened a female gym with my mum, and we had that for 10 years. So in that period of time, obviously I kept shooting. I was taking photos. It grew. So then while I had the gym, I started to shoot more weddings, and I started to study more and do all of this. So over that 10-year period of owning a gym, getting up at 4:30 every morning, like it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I would shoot weddings on weekends. And then, eventually, whilst I still had the gym, I started my business, and it just got to a point. And why did
you, so you're at the gym, were you enjoying it? And then you thought, I want to do something else? Or were you not enjoying it?
I just knew, look, I always wanted to own my own business. So I've been self-employed majority of my life. Like I'm very motivated, and I wanted to always work for myself, and I pretty much have. But that
comes across in your persona.
But the gym came because sport has been a huge part of my life. So I was into it, fitness, everything, bought the gym, very passionate about it. But a business side of a gym and what I did is very different. Like you don't own a gym to make money, let's be honest.
Right.
I did it to help people, and it was a big learning curve for me. But, I was exhausted. Yeah, from then on, I just obviously photography started to take over. I knew that was what I wanted to do.
And was there like a tipping point from like, so you obviously had a lot invested in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You started doing wedding photography as like an individual, like you were going out on your own.
Yeah.
And did you have to like, what was happening? Did you have to like earn a certain amount of money to then close the gym or?
Yeah, no, it just kind of got to a point. Whilst I had the gym, I had my first child, and it just became harder. Obviously, getting up at 4:30 in the morning when you got no kids is a lot easier than when you got to organise babysitters, and it just it got a lot more difficult with the hours. And then I played netball at the time, and netball was very time consuming.
So you're doing gym, photography, and netball, and you had a kid.
Yep.
You've always decided to just really pile on what you're doing.
Absolutely do. I like to make my life hard. Continue to do so. But yeah, I was going to netball training and then getting up for work early, and I was just exhausted. So I had to retire from netball. It was a very difficult decision to make from the city because it was just too hard.
I tell everyone you were a professional.
Oh, don't do that. They'll laugh at you.
I'm like, she's a professional athlete.
Oh, calm fuck down. Like, are we talking about the same person? No, but netball was a very big commitment, and yeah, something had to give. So I ended up coming back to the Barossa to play netball, and that still took up a lot of my time, but I didn't have to, go with that. But then obviously weddings came into it, and we ended up closing the gym after I had my second child. So
yeah, okay.
I just couldn't manage all of it, and then weddings were just taking over, and it's what I wanted to do. So yeah, it all just...
Yeah, that's exciting.
And I've had my business since 2015. So what's that?
2015.
8 years. So that's shooting on my own. I did my first wedding in 2000 and I think it was 4.
Wow, I was 8.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old. I was a little baby.
Fuck me.
I was in primary school.
Yeah, that's really scary. But it is. And it's been a crazy time. I think back and I'm like, how did I do all of that? But I know I am where I want to be. And that's probably the biggest thing. This is my passion and I love it. And I know this is what I'm meant to do. But, you have ups and downs, and we've had COVID. I've had a divorce. We've gone through all of it. Like, there's a lot of challenges that come with it. Having kids in this industry is so hard logistically, trying to organise it and work hard and do all of that and juggle everything. But you make it work. And still, I know when I do it, I still love it as much now as I did back then. So.
Yeah. Well, I know, I've been running 22 wedding films. This is, I think, my 5th year. And like, I know how much goes into it for me as an individual. Then I think of you and I'm like, God, you had kids, you had the netball, you had the gym, you know, that's hard. And some people, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to start their own thing. Like, you always hear it, like people that have 9 to 5 jobs that they're like, oh, I'd love to do this or I'd love to do that. And I think like what I think people might find interesting is like, what is your mindset? Like when you're like, did you ever have a regular job during that whole time?
No, regular job after I left school, but
what was that?
I worked at a law firm, which, you know, it's just, I'm not a 9 to 5 person and I struggle with sitting down, but I need to be challenged constantly. And I guess when I just knew it wasn't my passion, and there's nothing wrong with that job. It just, I needed more. Right. And that's when the gym came along and, you know, that all happened, and I just need to continually push myself. And I think the thing is with weddings now is that I always said to myself, so I get real nervous before anything.
Yeah.
Netball, I used to do it.
Like me in this podcast.
Pretty much, yeah. So I would do that before every netball game. I'd get so nervous. Weddings, every Friday night, nervous as hell. Get to the game, get to a wedding. As soon as I'm there, I'm completely fine. Yeah. But it's because I put so much pressure on myself. But I also have told myself that the second that I don't feel that, I'm done, because it means like I care. And I genuinely give a shit now just as much for every single, like I've shot hundreds of weddings. Every single wedding I go to. Yeah. If I'm not feeling that, then I feel like I've kind of checked out, and I don't want to ever feel that feeling. I want to be nervous because I know it's because I care. Like I want to do the best job that I can possibly do for my clients, and I want that result to be there. I know I can do it. I know I've got the ability to do it, but I just, I want that passion to always be there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think every wedding vendor would have, they would totally understand what you're talking about right now, which is, I think no matter how many weddings you do, before every wedding, there's that, it's a good feeling, because it's like, oh, I feel like a kid again. Like it's like, oh, I'm nervous, you know, going into it.
It's one of the biggest days of people's lives. Like there's, and this is the thing, people don't say it, but there's a lot of like huge. There's so much. It's probably the most stressful form of photography you could do.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
Yeah,
you've got one shot at it. Like
Yeah.
we have, there are so many things that are not in our control on a wedding day in terms of light, weather.
I was about to say that with the
Things,
nerves. It's
yeah.
like you don't, when we rock up to a groom prep, then a bride, we have no idea what we're walking into.
Yeah.
We could walk into a hotel, right? And it could be it could be like what, the Stanford or something like that, where you go, oh, it could be like,
Stanford.
not the Stanford, I don't
hang
know.
on. That's
The
what
casino.
you picked?
No, I was thinking of any hotel in Adelaide. But you could go to a beautiful hotel in Adelaide, get in there, the windows are all closed, there's no natural sunlight coming through, and it's a disaster. And you've got to be prepared mentally to walk into a situation and go, what do I need to do?
Yeah, and that's where
like
it comes into with wedding photographers, and obviously this is probably a different topic, but you get experience is important, but having people that know what they're doing on your day is the most valuable thing you can do. So people, you know, when people say, oh, you charge this much, and we charge it for a reason. Like we have the experience. You need to know that if something happens, you can fix it. Like for example, you know, as I said, we don't have control over a lot of things. We will control as much as we can. Like my run sheets are done down to the minute and I'm on top of that all day, but things happen, weather happens, things happen. Like a couple of months ago, I had a bride, her zip broke the morning of the wedding. Like that put us an hour behind, and I was literally holding her in her dress while we were trying to get it fixed. That put the run sheet behind. So then we have to adapt to that super quickly. We were rushing around. We had to get lights set up. Like it was just a nightmare, but I was fine because
it's a part of the job.
Exactly. And I actually thrive on that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want it to happen, but it's like I know that that chaos is great. It's so the adrenaline's like, let's do this.
I swear every single groom prep that I've done with you, you end up doing the boys' ties.
I do ties, buttonholes.
You do it all.
All of it. Because it's like they don't know what's going on. Just get this shit done.
Yeah.
Like you
know what you want.
You just do what you want. And you know, I see so many times people say, oh, but I regret this and I regret that, or my photos of this and that. Like you just got to, it's about trusting the person you've got there and knowing that, you know, abilities, obviously everyone's got the ability, but it's stuff like that my job on a day is to calm the bride and make sure she has the best day and take any stress away from her that I can, because she doesn't want to be worrying about what time we need to leave or when the sun's going to set, or that's our job. So
you want them to not think about any of that.
Yeah. But anyway, it's interesting. But
how
about you? When did you where did you start? I guess I know you were 22.
What about me? I knew from a very young age that I wanted to run my own business, and I didn't know what it was going to be. I never knew what I wanted to do. Like when I was younger, I always just I don't even know what it was. There was a sunk in my brain that was like, I hate working for someone. I just do. Like I started very young. I was like I was just before 15. I was the youngest you could be when I started working at McDonald's, and I worked there for about 6 years, and you know, that was fine. McDonald's, obviously, I was a child, and you know, worked my way through to management there, and then I was like, oh, I want like a proper job. I want like a job where, like, you know, there's professionals and things like that. And that's when I applied to work at the law firm. So that's one thing that you and I have actually got in common, is I worked for a law firm in the city where I was a rounds clerk. Right?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I look like a rounds clerk.
You're like cliche rounds
right,
clerk.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I used to watch the show Suits. Did you ever watch that show?
Yeah.
It's a great show, because literally the people in the show Suits were characters at this law firm.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't tell them that at the time, but they are definitely, you know, they
See, I was in a country law
good.
firm. You were in a city law firm. It's very different.
It was wild, and it was just amazing to see. I mean, the law firm taught me so many things. Like I wouldn't never want to go into that field as like a job, but working in that environment was very interesting, because you got a lot of people that are starting out. They've just finished doing 5 years of studying at uni for law, and they're getting it, and everything's so serious for them, and it's high stakes. You know, they've just spent so much time studying, and they're getting into this role with quite a prestigious law firm, and it's a big deal. So career was something that was very important to these people. And then I also mixed with people that were super successful, like the owners of the law firm, you know, drove like $300,000 cars, and I was like, this is quite like the cars that Kim Kardashian would drive. Like it was nuts, and I didn't think that people like that existed in Adelaide. I just didn't. I didn't think that people had that kind of money. It was wild. Anyway,
I had to tell him who Kayla Itzens and Leah Itzens are the other day.
I still don't know.
That blows my mind that you don't know who they are.
Am I going to get in trouble for not knowing who they are?
Yeah, you are, because they're from Adelaide.
I know them.
Kayla's probably one of the richest women.
I follow them all the time.
Anyway,
I'll follow them. I'll see what they're like. But yeah, I worked at a law firm, and what that did for me was actually change my mindset from like a just like mundane kind of thing to like, I don't know, like you could dream bigger. You could do bigger things. I clearly did not want to do law. There's absolutely no. Could you imagine me being a lawyer? Oh my God, it'd be a disaster.
Yeah.
I'd just be gossiping with the clients, like, oh my God, he did that.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible. But yeah, working there, it was nice to see people that were like very career driven and just a different scene, and it was great. I learned so much working there. While I worked at that job, I was obviously doing the rounds for the law firm, and I would do the banking at Westpac Bank. So like I would take the law firm's banking to the Westpac Bank, and the girls there, Laura and Bethany, I would talk to them. No, I would be in there for 30 minutes at a time.
Absolutely not shocking at all.
They loved it. They loved me. Come, Brad, you here? I'll do
I've
the
had
banking.
to do that like on wedding days. I've had to actually try and shut you up so we can get stuff done.
Yeah. Well, it's not that
it's a good thing, but
yeah, I'm very talkative. When I'm feeling good, I'm very out there, very talkative, and I love it. I love talking to people, and I would talk their ears off, and they loved it. And because I spent so much time in that bank, the bank manager, Shannon at the time, he literally walks out and he's like, "We got a job going. Do you want to come do an interview?" And I was so shocked because I was like, "Oh my God, I could work in a bank! Like I get to, I was wearing suits for the law firm, but I was like, oh, I could come in and work for like to me, like a bank. I didn't understand what it was really. Like you don't understand much about what even a bank is until you work there, and it's it's all money related, investing and insurances and things like that. It's a very serious kind of job. And had an interview there, got the job, started working for Westpac for a few years, and I learned a lot at the bank. The bank for me was a place where I made some really fantastic lifelong friends. We go out to lunch every month, and I just adore these people. But the role at the bank was very sales driven, right? And what I learned about myself is I hate selling. I don't like it. I don't like leading a conversation into a sale. I don't like going into a conversation with a motive.
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with that.
Oh, it's horrific. And that's kind of shaped the way that I run 22 wedding films. Like we'll talk about that later, but I don't sell in 22 wedding films. Like I don't have any selling tactics. All my prices on my website. We'll talk about this later, but yeah, anyway, I found out that I really I feel uncomfortable selling. Okay? And it's funny because we sell in a different way.
We do.
If you're not actively selling, you could be passively selling, and we'll talk about that later. But
do you want to say we'll talk about that later one more time?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, that's going to be an episode for another time, business side of stuff. But yeah, I learned a lot at the bank, and towards the end of that, I started doing YouTube vlogs. Right. So if you actually go to the 22 Wedding Films YouTube page and you click on history and you go to the first couple of videos, it's me doing vlogs around Adelaide.
You look like a child.
I am a child.
Yeah, true.
I was a child. And I loved it. Like I started buying cameras and lenses, and I was just so infatuated with like technology and the camera gear and the lighting and the sound. And I was like, oh my God, I'm making videos. I'm putting it on YouTube. It was so exciting for me. It was such an exciting time. And I didn't care about putting myself on the internet either. Like I've always kind of had that, like you worry about it a little bit, but I've always been someone that's quite out there in terms of that kind of thing. When I shot my very first wedding, I did a lot of commercial stuff, and you'd obviously, you'd shoot it, you'd edit it, you'd put it together, you send it away, and it's kind of just like, oh, great, thanks, and they post it, and it's kind of whatever. With a wedding, before you send that to the bride and groom, I don't know what it is, but because it's so important to them. Like this is like when you send a highlight film away, I still get nervous,
yeah, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. You put together a gallery, or you put together a highlight film or whatever, you put together a web gallery for them, which has all their films, and you send it away, and there's like that nervous feeling of like, I can't wait to hear back of what they have to say about it. And you hope they love it. You get a little bit nervous. And like we were talking about nerves before, nerves are a good thing because you care. If I wasn't nervous, I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. That's how I think about it. But the feeling, the one thing that can't be replicated that no one really understands is when you start, like say a wedding business, you go through the whole marketing, advertising, you land a client, you speak with them, you get along, you guys are like besties, you shoot their wedding day, you have a really good day, they give you a hug at the end of the day and they're like, we absolutely loved it, it was great, can't wait to see the films. And then, a couple of weeks later, when you deliver those films and they give you a call and they're like, Brad, we couldn't have thought of anything better. We love that you did this with the film. We've showed family and friends. They said it feels like they were there on the day again. That kind of feeling, that rush, is like it's hard to replicate. I'm not sure how. I don't know what other job kind of gives you that feeling of like fulfillment.
When you think about it, we are with people on, well, and me especially, like I've been there for births, I've been there for newborn, like, you know, birthdays, whatever, weddings. You're literally spending some of the most important days of people's lives with them.
Right. They book you because they actually want to document something that's important
like I
to them.
feel very lucky for that. That's a pretty fucking good job.
Yeah.
Like
It's
you're
wild.
there front and center for them with their wedding day. Literally, like the bride, honestly, probably is spent, apart from, well, even the groom, we're with them for prep and everything. But like you're with them the entire day, from getting ready to the end of the night. Like it's insane. And that's the thing. Like I think with wedding photography is that you don't think of. Like I did a birth shoot once, and I was like, this is
That's wild.
insane. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even want to be at my own birth.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it
How
was-
does that go down?
But yeah, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. But I sat there. I was pretty
Editing
tired.
that would be a
It was a
job.
lot, but yeah, it was. But it just made me think. Like this is there were literally 4 of us in the room because it was during COVID. There was the mother, the father, the midwife, and me. And like, I'm not, people get this whole, you took photos of birth. I'm not there with my camera, like, very subtle, very like, you know, it's their time. I just need to, she just wanted it documented. It was a past bride, so she knew me. But I was
And they're very vulnerable to ask for that.
And like the pain went from here to here real quick. And I could sympathize with it because it's awful. Right. But it, like, I got to be there when that baby was born. Like I know midwives and stuff get to do that, but it's like I feel very grateful that I can be there for part of that.
It's wild.
And yeah, it was insane. But the same with a wedding day. Like it's, you know, it is what it is, and you get to share all those moments with people, and it's fascinating. A commercial shoot still is important, but we're
It's
there
different.
for
It's
the
definitely
happiest
different.
days of people's lives. Like, yeah, it's nuts.
It's awesome. We love it. That's why we do it. It's why we have a podcast, not really based around weddings, but we're happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we should wrap because we're getting way too long.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
But we'd love, I'd absolutely love for people to, obviously we're kind of only questioning each other on the things that we kind of want to know about from each other. But if you've got questions out there for us, whether it's, you know, questions for Karina or myself individually or something about our business, I would love to actually have questions come through. We'd love to have a segment where we answer questions and things like that. So if you do have something that you want to ask us, please do that. That would be awesome. But should we wrap this?
We shall.
Awesome. If you guys can, if you do enjoy it, if you don't enjoy it, don't do nothing. If you do enjoy it, please rate us on Apple and Spotify podcasts and follow us, subscribe to us over at YouTube. That would be awesome.
That's it.
Anything else, Karina?
See you next time.
Beautiful. All right, we're out of here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.